Welcome. Thank you for watching this video. This is a history of how the Cluff plan for home night became Monday night's family home evening churchwide by Alice Fae Cluff, Bishop Murray Cluff, President Howard W. Hunter, by way of the Pasadena State, California. And we're going to cover the 1915, 1951, and 1970 and actions in between. The source of the document of this is Talmage Jones, and we'll explain a little bit about him also. My name's Hap Cluff. I'm the son of Murray and Faye. So to start off with Murray Cluff, a little background. His great-grandparents were David and Betsy Cluff. And David was baptized on the 7th of September, 1832 by Hiram Smith. He served missions twice, once mission to work on the Nauvoo Temple and once to work on the Kirtland Temple. And he also, later on, migrated to Provo and was a city councilman there and a carpenter and cabinet maker. So his son, Alfred Aaron Cluff, was his 10th child, was actually born in Nauvoo in 1844, shortly after the prophet had been killed. His grandson was Franklin Alfred Cluff, and great-grandson of David is Murray Cluff, my dad. So he's my I'm the great-grandson. This is me. Now, start off with Howard W. Hunter, stake president to prophet, basically. And 25th of February, 1950, became president of the Pasadena stake. On March 26th, his first action, basically, as a stake president, was to do the following things: to organize the North El Monte ward, which split off from the Baldwin Park ward, and called Murray Cluff, my father, as bishop, which lasted 22 years. Then on the 15th of October, he was ordained as an apostle in 1959 by President David O. McKay. On June 5th, 1994, he became the 14th president of the church. He was only there for 9 months and he passed away. A little bit about Howard Hunter. He had a band. Not a lot of people know about this, and this is a great shot. You don't think of a prophet playing in a band like that, but anyway, it was the Hunters Croonaders. This statement by Talmage Jones is what sparked this presentation. Family home evening in the church is the product of Murray Cluff. And let me tell you a little bit about Talmage Jones so you can just back up his credibility. At age 14, Talmage Scoutmaster was Murray Cluff, my dad. And he talks about this as being the most fun he'd ever had in Scouts because of my dad. Counselors to Howard W. Hunter. He was in the stake presidency between 1950 and 1959. This was in the Pasadena stake. He was president of the Western Canadian Mission from 64 to 67, regional representative, general authority basically from 67 to 79, almost 12 years. And then he became president of the Singapore Mission in 1980-83. And Howard W. Hunter, when he was president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, was the main speaker at Talmage's funeral. This should tell you a little bit about Talmage's background. On the occasion of my father's funeral in 1987, my mother had asked people to send them anything they had about my father that was of interest and that they had an experience they'd had with him. Talmage Jones wrote a letter to my mother about this Talmage's experience with Murray Cluff, is what he said. 30 July 1987, Alice Fae Cluff, Monrovia, California. Dear Alice Fae, there is so much that has been said and written about Murray that reminds us of how great he was among men. And that's the actual opening part of this letter. Here's what this full letter looks like. This is really a great pride in our family, and we're grateful for Talmage Jones for taking the time to type this up. Anyway, this is really great. So here's how it happened according to Talmage Jones. These are the words of Talmage Jones. The first presidency announced family night in 1915. Only a small percentage conducted regular family nights. Sometime after Faye's home night talk at state conference in 1951, during a personal interview with bishops and the stake presidency, this is in the Pasadena stake, the president obviously was Howard W. Hunter, Bishop Cluff urged the stake to encourage the members to have home evenings on a regular basis every week. President Hunter asked me to make some recommendations. Vera Jean, my wife, and I asked your permission to come to your home to observe and participate in a Cluff family home evening. Here's a list of my family. This is a little after that point in time, but that's my sister on the left, Cheery. I'm Happy, Gay, Joy, and Faye and Murray, and we're the Mary Cluffs. The Cluff plan observed by Talmage and Jones. This is what he said again. We enjoyed that experience and reported to President Hunter that the success was due to fun and games, refreshments, and a spiritual thought in that order. Also vital, you would allow nothing to replace it, even for a week. Now, I recollect, and in my mom's talk, we'll talk about a little later, she lays out the plan as we attended it and as I recall it. Basically, a different member of the family would conduct the meeting, recalling who gave the prayer and who gave the spiritual thought and what song we sang. Our family theme was home, love at home. And then sometimes when needed, let us off speak kind words to each other. So we'd have an opening prayer, a schedule or business week. Basically, this was done when the kids were older. Spiritual thought, and then a lesson. Usually it was a Bible story or a Book of Mormon story. And then a closing prayer and blessed refreshments. And then we'd have games and refreshment. So here's the success of that plan. This is the last picture taken by before my father passed away in 1987. This was at his birthday on the 17th of June, 1987. He died on the 26th of July. Talmage continues with his letter. President Hunter was impressed that every family in Pasadena State needed a weekly family home evening. We consulted further with Bishop Cluff, decided that Monday night would create less conflict, and announced to the state that Monday nights henceforth would be a dedicated evening, second only to the Sabbath day. All church meetings and all activities were canceled, no exceptions. Bishop Cluff was smiling even broader than usual when this happened. I clearly recall President Hunter losing his cool, can't imagine that, when he learned that East Pasadena Ward was having choir practice on Monday nights. They never did that again. So from a family to a ward, family night, to a stake, Monday night, home night, to church-wide Mondays only family home evening program. This is how it happened. In 1959, President Hunter became an apostle. Not long thereafter, he discussed with the brethren the need to make family home evening more important in the lives of the members and suggested the way to do it. Again, this is Talmage Jones recalling this. He told them of the Cluff plan, how it worked for Pasadena Stake. Monday night became a sacred night throughout the church. In many parts of the world, this is Talmage talking again, I have taught this successful pattern of family home evenings, fun, refreshments, and a lesson, held every week. Nothing is as important. The Cluff method has influenced many homes. Here's a picture of my mom and dad, Fae and Mary Cluff, at different times in their lives. Here's this interesting picture. This is the picture of the bishopric that my dad was in when they dedicated the North El Monte Ward Chapel. It took them 8 years to do that. And as you can see, 5 previous counselors. So he'd already gone through 7 counselors just in 8 years. And he had a total of 22 years. Something else that he did in order to raise money, he created a company called Newell, standing for North El Monte Welfare. And basically it was set up to build homes and have other projects too, but they built homes and had volunteers from the ward, members of the ward come in and they would sell these houses at the end, and that raised funding for the building fund. It took them 8 years to get enough money to pay it. My dad, Murray, was bishop in 4 stakes, but in the same ward. So he was made a bishop in 1950 and was released in 1972. Served as bishop of the North El Monte Ward in 4 stakes. A Pasadena stake to begin with, Covina stake, which then was split off from the Pasadena stake, and then the El Monte stake was split off from the Covina stake, and then Hacienda Heights, which was just renamed from the El Monte stake. Covina is now the Glendora stake. One thing I remember to tell people a lot about my dad, one of the things he said about home teaching, this is great. The hardest part of home teaching is putting on your coat. And today we don't even have to put on our coat. Just a little bit about the history of the Cluff family. David and Betsy. Uh, First, my dad's grandfather, Aaron Cluff, was born in Nauvoo on the 10th child of David and Betsy. And what's interesting is he had some famous older brothers. His one older brother, William Cluff, saved Lorenzo Snow's life when he drowned in Hawaii. He's also mentioned in the Hawaiian temple dedicatory prayer as the person who found the location of the Hawaiian temple. His other older brother, Benjamin's son Benjamin Jr., was the first president of Brigham Young University. He also bought the Sproach program and made it a church school, basically, also. His other older brother, Harvey Harris Cluff, placed a sign on the trail during uh, and saved the William Martin Company. So Alfred, when he was 5 years old, his family traveled across the plains in the Edward Hunter Wagon Company. It was the same company, 6-year-old Miles Romney was the great-grandfather of Mitt Romney. So between the Cluffs and the Romneys, 23 people, there were 10% of the company. And so my dad's father, Franklin Alfred Cluff, and my grandma, Lucy Delilah Sims. I always called her Mimi. I never knew my granddad. I was born after that. He passed away. And of course, my father, 1907 to 1987, from Thatcher, Arizona. My mom, Alice Fae Cluff, 1911 to 1989. And then he became bishop again, 1950 to 72 for 22 years. And I'm the one reporting on this. And I'm Happy Murray Cluff is my full name, and I'm married to Vicki Wilkins, and we live in Clovis, California. Monday as Home Night, the talk that started it all, and really was, by Alice Fae Cluff. Now sometimes it's spelled F-A-Y, but she preferred to have it F-A-E. This was on Sunday, the evening session on Pasadena State Conference on the 9th of September, 1951. Again, Howard Hunter was the stake president. This is the full talk. We have this as a great family treasure. We have this on each of these. I'll show you each one of these. I won't go through it. You read it. But my father was a salesman for Ohio Match Company, and he had these scratch pads that we were able to have all the time to do our notes on for home. Looks like a long thing, but it was about a 5-minute talk. And here it is typed up so that you can see it. Go back and stop this and read it if you want to. And I don't expect you to read it all this time, but just let you know too. Okay. Here's the full text, the picture of the Talmage Jones original letter. Here's a close-up of that letter. So you can see that capacity on it. He did it. Signed by him and his wife, Fair Jean. A couple of games that were included was Kitty Wants a Corner. This was a crazy game. It has really no structure at all, but it just was fun to do. Red Cap, hide and seek, and we had a little 2-inch ivory horse that we would hide, and then a person would come back in and say it. And the same famous saying we had with those that were waiting would say, "Bushel of wheat, bushel of barley. When you're ready, holler Charlie." And we'd holler Charlie, and then we'd come out and start looking for this little horse we had. The outdoor game was Red Rover, Come Over. Here's some of my sources for all this thing about Talmage Jones and Vera Jones and others. Now, just give me a recap of this thing, okay? Basically, 1915, Joseph F. Smith, president, introduced family night to the church. 1940s, in home, Murray and Fae Cluff weekly practiced the Cluff plan early in the 1940s. Then it was adopted once we had created the North El Monte Ward when it was created and my dad became bishop, and that was adopted as a weekly home night in our ward. And 9th of September, obviously, 1951, my mom gave the talk, home night, in the state conference. And then sometime between 1952 and 56, as bishop, Murray Cluff encouraged the Cluff plan to stake President Howard W. Hunter in the Pasadena stake. And then sometime again between that time period, Talmage Jones, counselor to Howard Hunter, and his wife Vera attended home night with the Cluff family. Again, same period of time in the stake. Now the president, Pasadena stake adopts Monday nights as family night. No other church meetings allowed. And now then, Howard Hunter is now an apostle, and sometime between 1959 and 66, he recommends the Cluff plan to the brethren. And the first official action we can aware of from the church was in 1966. And stakes were encouraged to hold home family night. It was just kind of left up to the stakes to do it and decide what night. But then in 1970, Joseph Fielding Smith, president, officially declared Mondays as family home evenings. No other church meetings be handled at 2. So those of you that work at the temple, this is why you get Mondays off. It's interesting, too, that from father to son, from 1915, Joseph F. Smith introduces family night to the church, and then his son in 1970, Joseph Fielding Smith, officially declares Monday as family home evening. So I want to leave this final thought. There was the last paragraph of my mom's talk in 1951. I was only 10 years at the time. I had no recollection of this. In fact, I was in my 70s before I even found out this talk, the scratch pad, and was able to read this talk. Now, our oldest is leaving for college, but we have asked our children as they leave and go out into the world that no matter where they may be on Monday night, to stop and think of their home nights and the love we have for each other. And in that way, our home nights will never die. So family home evening in the church is the product of Murray Cluff and Alice Fae Cluff also. Thank you.